off the shelf, La Bataille des Vauchamps, published in the ATO Annual 2013. So now we can, so we are in the melee assault phase, and now we can do a charge melee. So here, first of all, there aren't pre-melee morale checks. I guess the only unusual thing here is that the defenders are already disordered. So I think that we can just go to our melee resolution procedure. Okay, so basics first. The charging coalition cavalry has a melee value of 19. Melee value of 19, morale of 24. And the defenders, French line infantry disordered, has a morale value of 8. Has a melee value of 8, morale value of 24. Okay. So I think the attackers melee values. Okay, so we start with 19, and let's see, disordered. We're not going to do the cavalry unit in which the owning player does not wish to increase the unit's fatigue level, but that's interesting to try another time. Current lance bonus for each hex of a lance unit in line formation. I guess you have to. All right, I guess I have to keep them. Actually, I do need to remember exactly what I'm doing. All right, so it's 19 melee value plus 3 lance bonus, and they are in column formation. And you gotta watch that, I guess. Okay. Not assaulting through flank or rear. They're not heavy cavalry. Cavalry versus infantry square, no. Units row, no. Units in square, no. No. Okay. Actually nothing. To get the lance bonus, I think they do have to be in line formation. So they don't even get that. So I guess it's just a straight 19. Okay, so the defenders, and I already forgot, is it 6? 8. Melee value of 8. Right away, of course, they are disordered. So they're halved, so 4. That's probably it. Yeah, okay, so I think it's 4. So I think it is 4.5 to 1 for the coalition cavalry there. They whoa! Wow, 66. So wow, that's DS. That's another DS. Wow. So surrendered. Wow. And now for the charge. Okay, so the coalition cavalry advance. Now, what happens to them? Do they automatically gain fatigue or such? Okay, so definitely have to take care of this. Green. Okay, so first of all, this is the coalition melee assault phase. So because of that, if it were the French melee assault phase, we would grab the blue markers, but it is the coalition melee assault phase, so we grab the green cavalry readiness markers. Now, to go back to, since I didn't realize it, fatigued, the hussars over here, they meleeed without charging, attack or defense, so they are fatigued like that. So I should have, at the conclusion of that melee, should have done that. Now, meleeing after charging, you get the exhausted marker for that state. And there are penalties associated with that. Okay, since we just placed the cavalry readiness markers, might as well talk about the recovery phase then. So the order of actions. First, both players will simultaneously perform readiness recovery for their eligible cavalry units. Okay, so only units that have a marker that is colored in the current player segment color. Blue for French, green for coalition. So again, blue and... Wow, do I not have... I didn't pull out enough. Okay. Green for coalition, blue for French. May recover during this recovery phase. But of course, it wouldn't make sense that they would recover immediately. It's actually... You're basically waiting a whole turn. So you actually have to know or remember that these units received their readiness markers this turn. So the exception is a unit that just had a readiness level marker placed on it in the preceding melee phase, like we have in this case, may not recover. So in order to recover one step of readiness, so from fatigued to fresh, or from exhausted to fatigued, the cavalry unit must rest for a complete turn from when it became that readiness state. Okay. Rest restrictions to be eligible to recover readiness. Actually, especially since this unit is now in contact with the French line there, we probably should consider the cavalry unit may not move more than half of its movement allowance during its movement phase. The cavalry unit may not melee during this turn length of time. The cavalry unit may not retreat before melee from a cavalry opponent during this turn length of time. The cavalry unit may not suffer any increment losses due to fire combat during this turn length time. And then recovery implementation. So as long as all these conditions apply, remove fatigue markers or flip from exhausted to fatigued. Okay. Okay, that was a lot of stuff for what in practice should be pretty straightforward. So obviously my coalition cavalry are not recovering readiness. So second, remove all markers that were used to indicate a charge in which melee was resolved. That's that one. Finally, the player whose segment it is. Okay, so that's the coalition. Will make rally attempt morale checks for all his disordered and routed units on the map in any order he chooses. Okay, so we only have a French disordered unit there. But while we're here, even though it's the coalition player's turn or recovery phase, let's talk about that though. So if it were the French player's turn and recovery phase, what would we do with that unit that is disordered? Okay, so morale recovery. Recovery from disorder, like that, and rout, which is the flip side of the marker, plus grand disorder. Occurs during the owning player's friendly recovery phase. The owning player performs a morale check for each disordered and routed unit he has on the map during the recovery phase. So I'm going to go right to my trusty reasons for morale checks, and then there should be a recovery one here. Rally from disorder or rout during the recovery segment. That looks like us. So you're only using table 1. Okay, so just modifier of command morale level. Oh, okay, yeah, that's the formation morale that we're not going to look at yet, but that's interesting. So that gives the larger, broader formation morale effects, I guess. Okay, unit is okay. So unit is disordered. We're going to subtract 3 Yeah, these are DRMs. Rider would be 6, unit half strength or less. No, they're still at their normal strength. Okay, leader and road march. Okay. So it would be -3. So maybe we would, I guess we're looking here. Morale is 26. We roll, oh yeah, actually 46. And then we'd subtract 3 for being unit disordered. So they would pass their morale check there. So a disordered unit that passes this morale check returns to good order. That's simply removing the disorder marker. And assumes either, okay, here it is, and then assumes either column or general order formation depending on the terrain. Okay, that makes sense. So they're not in the terrain that causes general order. They're not in a town or woods or what have you. They're in the open. So they would come out of, what do you want to call it? Come out of disorder in column formation. Okay. So then if they wanted to get back into skirmish formation, they would basically have to start that over again. They would have to take that action. Okay. And just as review, that would be a 1 movement point action. So back around to the French movement phase. If they wanted to get back into skirmish formation, I guess they would pay 1 movement point to go into skirmish formation again, and then maybe start their skirmishing over again.